Unlike most major cities in the country, another distinguishing factor for Houston is that it has 5 regional school districts rather than 1 citywide district. Do you think that this system segregates education within the city? And if so, would you pledge to do something about correcting the problem, and what would that be? Again, please begin with a yes or no answer, and then an explanation for your decision. Peter Brown? Yes, again.
The answer is post-consolidation. I would say that education is one of the great, and healthcare are the 2 great challenges we face, and that the mayor needs to take a leadership role in both of those issues, and that a city, if you look at it, city is only as good as its schools, so that's a huge challenge for us. I think there's probably an optimum size for an efficient urban school district. I don't want to get into that discussion, but we have in effect, economically, demographically segregated school system. And a lot of it's related to disinvestment in many areas of our city. The solution, I feel, and it's to improving schools and reducing the tragic dropout rate that we have, is a much more proactive approach to neighborhood revitalization, so that we can have a lot of different housing choices, diverse neighborhoods, and begin to attract the middle class back to the city. Essentially, the city has lost its middle class, and that's a policy that absolutely needs to be reversed. Unfortunately, the city practices, I think, unknowingly, the further concentration of poverty by going into low-income neighborhoods and building more low-income housing, and I think that's the wrong public policy. Somehow we've got to create incentives for mixed-income neighborhoods. So the answer is not swallowing up the school districts, but it's again back to better planning, better standards, creating incentives for investing in our neighborhoods, and making our school districts not the educators of the poor, but the educators of a very diverse, mixed income society. And I think that's the tack that all the great urban mayors are taking: Bloomberg, Daley, Hickenlooper, and Denver. And that's the way to go in Houston.
Thank you. Roy Morales?
Well, this situation is a lot more complex when you say there's just so many school districts within city limits. Actually, you actually have a mixture of, let's say, Clear Creek, which is part of Clear Lake, but it's also outside of the city limits as well. You have Humble, which handles the children out of Kingwood, but it also handles children in Humble. So it's a bigger and more complex problem. The way I read this question, you ask first off, does our current system segregate education? I don't think so. But will I do something about it? Absolutely. Because there are problems there. But being a school trustee, I understand what some of the other trustees go throughout these districts. Their hands are tied, in many cases, by Austin or by Washington, D.C. on what they can do and how they can improve their school district. And in some cases, it is the parents themselves that are not getting involved with the situation. That's where it starts first. And that's where I see some of the problems. My campaign focuses on education. I know how important it is. I am very passionate about our future. I'm the only one, I believe, that understands that cultivating our children in their early years makes them stronger individuals and leaders. And that ultimately makes us a stronger city. And that's why I will use this as a bully pulpit to talk out about how we can improve this situation here in all the school districts. I will meet with each school district and come up with a strategic plan on how we can improve the education. And one of the ways we do it, and we currently do it in the city of Houston with our after-school programs, we have to beat that up. That is a key area because the children want to participate in those programs have to attend classes during the day if they want to be able to participate in the afternoon. And to do that, we have to increase the budget for after schools because it keeps them in the classroom and off the streets away from the criminal element.
Thank you. Annise Parker?
No, I don't support the consolidation of the school systems. And actually, the last time I counted, I think there were 17 school districts actually within the borders of Houston. So it's a much bigger and more complex problem than is outlined. But this is an area where, while the mayor of Houston has no direct authority, we all as individuals have a great deal of responsibility. And I think I'm the only one with kids who are in the public schools currently. I don't want to run the schools, but I absolutely think it's critical for the mayor to be involved in both the selection of new superintendents and in coordination of information among the schools. Schools are anchors of neighborhoods in addition to educating our kids. I would appoint an education officer at essentially a cabinet level position within the mayor's office to coordinate among the different superintendents and to coordinate the areas where I think the city ought to have a very strong role. First being after-school programs. Kids, particularly we have after-school programs in most of the elementary schools in the area, but we begin to lose them in the middle school, and middle school is when kids begin to get in trouble. Too many latchkey kids between the hours of 3:30 and 6 o'clock. That's when they get into gangs, that's when they start to get pregnant, that's when they all sorts of problems, and they start to get so far behind in school that they have no ability to catch up. The city already does after-school programs. We need to make sure that there's an effective after-school program in every middle school in the city of Houston, and moving them into the high school where possible. We need to coordinate with Harris County and the nonprofits that also do this work. We need to ask the business community to pony up on internship programs and work-study programs. The business community and our unions here in the city of Houston. We need to do a better job of sharing facilities with school districts. You know, the Spark Park program is an outstanding example of public-private partnerships where there's a playground built on school grounds that is available to the students during the day and to the neighborhood at night. I've been meeting with representatives of youth groups and the school districts to talk about creation of more soccer fields, for example, in the city where we have a critical shortage of playing fields. The school districts don't have the money to develop those. You're about to get the hook.
Thank you. Gene Locke?
Yeah, the question was very interesting. The question was, does the absence of mayoral control of schools result in a segregated schools district? Well, that's absolutely no. Unfortunately, segregation and segregated schools arise from much more serious social issues than the form of who controls the schools. The reality is that we have an independent school district in Texas. Houston used to, years ago, over 100 years ago, until 1923 actually had a Mayoral Forum schools, and schools were segregated back then. Now we have an independent school district, and the result in this class segregation now. So let's not focus on the form of government. Let's acknowledge the fact that we've got a problem in education, and we need to be dealing with the problem of education. The real issue is, how can we get in and take control of this problem collectively and work on it? I think there's several things that a city can do, and the mayor should be in the forefront of doing. First of all, the mayor has the bully pulpit for the region. So the mayor speaking for the region can raise problems that are confronting the region. One of the problems we have is an educational problem. And one of the problems that we have in the field of education is nobody wants to take ownership of the problem. The educators don't want it, the politicians don't want it, the parents don't want it, and the children deny it.